Hello folks, I'm Mark at Super Simple 365. I want to welcome you to another What's New with Microsoft Teams. For September and October, we're going to look back at what is late, what is now available, and we're going to look forward to what is coming soon. So let's see what we've got. So we have some revised timelines, new and available now. We also have our main items. You can see those in the middle there. And we're going to wrap up with our bite-sized updates, ones to watch. We're going to have a look at someone else who is super active in the Microsoft 365 and Teams community. Have a look at their podcast, and we're going to have a quick catch up with what we did at converse and where you can catch up with that video. Okay, so first up, let's have a look at our revised timelines. So breakout rooms, presenter support. This is just the ability for you as the team organizer, the meeting organizer, sorry, to make somebody else, another presenter, a room manager. So I think along with this next one here, pre-meeting room creation, and the ability to assign your participants to those rooms before you even start, I think that it makes it a lot easier for you to use breakout rooms. So even if you're not an organizer of meetings, I think you're going to see a lot more use of breakout rooms because they're just about to become really easy to use. What else do we have here? So we've got the meeting recording auto expiration. So a bit of a mouthful. So you know that you can record your Teams meetings, and Microsoft have worked out that once those recordings get to about 60 days old, almost no one ever looks at them ever again. So they're just taking up this space. So your organization is going to get the ability to have the auto deletion of these recordings, and the default will be 60 days, but you can make it something like 99,999 days, which is like 250 years or something. Now, if you are the owner of one of those recordings, don't worry, because you'll be notified when this is going to happen, and you can override it if you want to. But I think this is a really good step to saving on purpose. Okay, so you're building up information, data, and you're doing it on purpose. So rather than it just builds up and builds and builds up. So I think that's something to look out for. What else do we have? The end-to-end encryption for Teams calling. It's been pushed back a little bit. Now this is interesting. I was talking about this to a group of people just a few days ago, and we were talking about revised timelines for one of the Informed Teams clients. And we like to use the revised timelines as a recap of what we've previously covered. And just in case anyone didn't make the last session, it just brings it up again. So it's a really good way the revised timelines are a good way to bring up a topic. But we're trying to position it because of people being worried about, well, maybe my normal Teams activity isn't secure. And the way I tried to describe it is that we have the tenant and the environment is a secure place, and this is a safe room inside a safe place. Now, I was explaining that normally with your Teams meetings, you can have transcript, for example. This is just one thing that helps explain what we're talking about. So with that transcript, the system has got to be able to access your call, hasn't it, to be able to make a transcript. Now, it might be that you don't even want the system to be able to access and listen to your calls. That's where this end-to-end encryption comes in. So it's optional for organizations, but look out for that, folks. It's due by the end of November. And the voice over IP and PSTN, so this is just like your soft calls that you do on Teams, and your PSTN, so your regular old-style calls you might do on your mobile. So the recordings and the transcripts, that's available for that. So that's coming September and October. Okay, so you will probably recognize these from last month. So new and available now. So this is stuff that's available now. It's just useful as a reminder for you to go back and have a look at this. But if you missed last month, then hopefully it's useful then as well. Okay, this is a Teams public preview indicator. A little P on your avatar in the top right hand corner. Let me just pull this across for you. So if I just have a look at Teams there, you can see there that I'm in developer preview. It just means you get a nice early view of what's coming to Teams. Now, it's easy to forget that you're in that mode. But the little P just reminds you that you're in that mode. So if you are if you're the sort of person who likes to just see what's coming, just try stuff out, it's easy to forget that you're in that mode, or it was before. So just a little touch, but I think it's really useful, and that is live now. This was last month's big news, being able to reply to a specific chat in Teams. You can see here just on the video that we're going to the ellipsis for a chat, click and reply, and then when you respond, you can see that it shows your colleagues what you're responding to. Now remember, this is chat, this is not about, this is not for your channel exchanges, it's just for your chats, and you might be already familiar with that from mobile, but if you missed that, go and check it out, folks. It is super good. Another one that has arrived is the refreshed Microsoft Whiteboard. Now I was sort of torn between kind of showing you a couple of screenshots from the new Whiteboard, but I didn't think I could do it justice, so I just got this little word cloud here. It just gives you an idea of all the new things that have come to the Whiteboard. I'd probably need 3 or 4 slides to tell you everything. Now, if you check out the notes, I'll show you, I'll send a link that's got more information. But when I was telling people about this last week, that it's available and showing it to them, the people who like Whiteboard were really into it. So they use Whiteboard already. So one example the guy gave me is that every morning they have a stand up and they use the little post-it notes, and that's just how they set their day up. Now the templates in there now, folks, are amazing. You go and check it out. People who don't use it were wowed by it as well. So I'll make sure I share it in. I share a link in the notes. But go and have a look at that, folks. It's time to have another look at Whiteboard in Teams and on the browser. And this is quite useful. I love the whole cloud thing, and I love the fact that the app's online. But when I open a file, I've got to be honest, I often prefer to especially if I'm working on and creating. I do almost more creating than I do reading. So I like to work in the full fat version of Office, and I want to tell Teams how to open my files. So you see on the right hand side, we've gone into our settings, we've gone into general, and then we've got files. So you can tell Teams how to open your files, and at any time there you can override it, and you can even change the default on the fly there as well. So look out for that, folks. That's live now, and hopefully you find that useful. And just very quickly, you can see here that we've got 2 new layouts for your Teams meetings. Now I am super comfortable going on video on meetings and doing presentations. It's a big part of my day job, but you know what, hats off to anyone who can make that look good. So looking into the camera while you're talking about your slides, so you're moving it along, you see it now with my other hand, and talk about what's on the screen, and I find myself, I'm distracted, I'm sort of half looking at what's over there. So if those of you who can make that look good, I think it's an amazing bit of tech. If you can make that look good, folks, hats off to you. I struggle with it a little bit, but it's a really nice feature, and that's available now. Okay, so let's have a look at our full updates. Now, when I was talking about this with some folks last week, so I did a demo of doing a poll in Teams. You click on the little darts, you message extensions, and you open it up, and it just feels a bit clunky, and it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind. And Microsoft have realised this from their telematics. They know that it's an amazing feature that's just a little bit underused. So this feature is being promoted, and it's going to be its own app inside Microsoft Teams. So it's just going to be called Polls, like polls powered by forms, but it's just going to be called Polls. So look out for that, folks. Late September to early October. So what, 10th of October now? Last time I looked a couple of days ago, that hadn't dropped yet. I expect that anytime soon. And with that, now the eagle-eyed amongst you will know I showed you this last month, but because of that previous feature, I just want to drop this in as well. The word cloud for polls. This is a great way for you just to, in a meeting, just to ask an open question, and people can just give you an answer. Let me just zoom in on that for you, folks, so you can just get a slightly closer look, and you'll get this type of word cloud. And obviously, the more popular a word is, the more prominent its position in the cloud. Look out for that. Again, that's due late September, early October, so any time now. And I reckon that will come at the same time as that previous feature. So Microsoft Teams rooms. So the room on Windows, the in-meeting experience update. That's a bit of a mouthful. I could have rephrased that. It wasn't very slick, was it? Okay, so it's still going to be different to the regular Teams meeting, but it's going to get more of the regular, the normal Teams features. So we're talking about participant grouping, the sorting by roster, by raised hand, the chat search, chat bubbles, live reactions. So some of those things that you might be used to from regular Teams will be coming to the Teams rooms. Just hopefully make that experience a little bit nicer for you, so it doesn't feel so different to what you're used to. And I think this is an interesting one. Now, I don't know. It'd be interesting actually. If this is for you, it'd be interesting for you to put a comment in the notes in the response section for the video, because I'm not sure how useful this is going to be or how often it's going to be used. I think it's super clever, and for those of you who it is useful, I think it's brilliant. But I'd just be interested to know how many people find this genuinely useful. Maybe before so many of us were working from home, working remotely, maybe then for those hybrid type meetings it might be more useful. But let's see. Let's have a look at it. So this is for anyone who would like to show a whiteboard or a document during a meeting. So there's two options in here. So you can see there just on that animation, when the person is going to share, they have got a new option there. So content from Whiteboard. So they then will get their webcam or their camera from their laptop to point to an actual physical whiteboard behind them. You can see it then being pulled into the main part of the feed, and then being kind of squared off and leveled up. And then when the person puts their hand over it, you can see that it ghosts out. And interestingly, somebody when I was looking at this, they thought that was a fake hand that you were controlling moving around, but it's actually as your hand goes in front of it, it kind of ghosts your hand or whatever, so people can still see the content. It's super clever. Also, you can have there's a document mode where you could have that going, say for example, just pointing down at a document, and I don't know, maybe you're marking, you have to physically mark up this document with a pen, and you need to talk about it on one of your meetings or with a colleague, and you have to physically write on a document for whatever reason. You got that option as well. So look out for that, folks. Late September, early October. I think it's like witchcraft, isn't it? It's just it's incredible that you can do that. But like I say, be interesting to see who is actually using that. Okay, so quickly onto the bite-sized updates this month. Microsoft's been a bit quiet with Teams. Now I don't know whether, maybe a big part of their focus has turned towards Viva, for example, or maybe they've been a little bit quieter over the summer, and this is the lag from the summer break, or maybe COVID's slowed things down, or maybe the conferences are coming up soon, or maybe they're saving the stuff for that. But they do seem a little bit quiet. Maybe it'd be interesting to see whether things speed up again. But now let's look at our bite-sized updates. These are updates that's worth me telling you about, but don't really justify, not yet, but don't justify a full slide. So the ability to restart a live event, maybe your live event has stopped or you've accidentally stopped it, you get the ability to restart that anytime now. Parent connection in Teams for education, so it's the ability for the parents and educators or carers maybe, and the educators to get in touch. So I can't be honest, folks, I'm a little bit out of the loop with the education stuff. I don't have cause to look at the education version of Teams. But if that is you, if you're a parent and your kids do use Teams, then go and look this up, because it looks like when I went over it briefly, it looks like quite a nice feature. Live events up to 100,000 attendees. That is crazy, isn't it? So look out for that already. Anonymous meeting join across clouds. So this is like a government and defence type thing. The ability to join anonymously across those different types of tenant, like for the Department for Defence or the government ones. Now, it's that whole those types of clouds. It's just that's not on my radar either. A bit like education, but if that is even vaguely of interest to you, maybe you work for one of those organisations. Hopefully, you know about it. If you do, or you're a client or a partner, then go and have a look at that. What else do we have? The ones to watch. So the ones to watch. These are ones where they're either a little bit further out, or I don't really know enough about them to tell you a whole lot. Okay, so this first one is, and just another caveat is that I just need a little bit more slack with these. So if I've misinterpreted it, I'll give you my best impression of it, my best interpretation of it. So if I misinterpret it, obviously I'll correct it further down the line, or the date's wrong, then just cut me a little bit of slack moment. Okay, so hiding your own video on Teams meetings. I quite like this. I don't need to see my video feed. Maybe some people like it because it reminds you that the video feed's on, but you got the ability to hide it. And almost the opposite of that, you got the ability to pin your own video feed. Be interesting as well in the chat if you have a use for this. If you're the sort of person who needs to see their own video feed, or you can think of a use for that, I'd be interested, because straight up, folks, I don't know why you'd want to use this. What else we got? Automated webinar invite. So this is coming in December. Well, people are automatically going to get an invite, get it put in their calendar when they sign up. So I will, of course, share more details about that last one, especially. Look out for that. Okay, so we've got a new section now, the 365 and Teams Community Spotlight. This is just once a month, and this is the first one. I say once a month, it's the first time I've done it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just share something else with you. So I focus very narrowly on what's late, what's coming, what's new, what's coming soon, and I talk at things at quite a high level. And there's so many resources out there. So whether it be podcasts or YouTube channels or websites or whatever it might be. So I'm going to start sharing once a month, and the reason I'm doing this, it's kind of come from actually meeting one of the people from what I'm about to show you. I met them at Converse, and I was a bit blown away by the fact that they were busy, but I just bumped into them, we had a quick chat, and they had plenty of time to speak, and they were super, super friendly. So if you see these folk who I'm about to show, if you see them at a conference, you see them out and about, just go and talk to them, folks. I'll make time for you. They're really lovely people. And I thought, and then I was actually listening to their podcast on the way to Comsworth, so it was quite nice to chat to them when you got there. But it just made me think, actually, I just want to share their stuff with you so that you can benefit from it as well. And what we're talking about, folks, is the Practical 365 podcast. You see a little bit on the right side there, and Steve Goodman and Paul Robichaud. I should know that because I've listened to them so many times and heard them introduce each other. So I'm a bit embarrassed, and I apologise. So I'm embarrassed for my audience, but I apologise to Paul. So it's part of a bigger picture there. So it's part of the bigger Practical 365 project. We'll look at that in a second, and they look at the rest of 365 as well as Teams. They've got blogs, podcasts, webinars, books, and more. So let us just have a quick look at their website. Okay, here we are. I've started on the podcast part because that's what I look at, and you can see here that the last couple they have a chat with Greg Taylor, but before that, the new Teams meeting capabilities, and I will tell you about stuff like this, but they'll go into more detail, and you see that they've got a couple of interesting things there with Comsworth. But let's just have a look. Let's go back to the homepage. So nice and easy. You can see it just pulls in all the latest stuff. The topics. This is really nicely laid out. Look at the sort of things they cover out here. And let's just focus on Teams for a second. And you can see that it just lists out their most recent articles. You can look back at their previous podcasts, their webinars. Maybe check out their videos, and you can see the folk on here. So go check that out, folks. I'll put a link in as well, but definitely worth you having a look at that. Let us have a quick Comsworth catch up. So if you listened last month, you know that I spoke at Comsworth down at Mercedes World last month. And I talked about keeping up with Microsoft Teams. Now, it was more in the context of keeping up with Microsoft 365 and Teams, but I did focus on Teams because of the nature of the conference. Now, is that a daily problem, or is it an amazing user engagement and content opportunity? So I was talking about creating learning hubs on SharePoint, then turning it into a course that people will come back month after month to watch, using the same content and the same group of people to create a really good, rich, active community inside Microsoft Teams. And one of the things that I was talking about was in the 12 weeks before I spoke, there were 112 new Teams features on the roadmap and 88 new and updated features in the admin center. So that was just in the 12-week period. So what chance have your colleagues and the users in your organization got? And that's what I was talking about, and the opportunity that you can that you've got. Now, I'll put a link in. So they recorded the session. So I'll put a link in the in the notes so you can go and watch that. But I'll also just put a note for Natasha. Now, with the I do those activities for the Inform team at one of their major government clients, and it is so successful. And the people that come on the sessions love it, and it's created a whole community. And not only does it keep people up to date, but it actually engages people across the whole of 365. So I'm telling you about an amazing new feature. I don't know, maybe you're frustrated with chat in Teams and no one ever knows who's talking about what, and I've just told you about the ability to reply to a specific chat. So they get that information, they get their questions answered, they get their frustrations done, but also they then see the rest of Office 365, the rest of Teams or whatever you're focusing on, and when you as the lead presenter on that, when I then sit back and I hear them then talking to each other and sharing their experiences and what they've done and then hooking up with each other, it's such a valuable activity. Now, on that video, I'll tell you how to do it yourself, but I do appreciate that you might not have the time or the resources in your organization. So if you want help with that, I'm going to put Natasha Bradley, her details into the chat, and just drop a note, and I'm sure the Inform team, they could help you get this set up or even run it for you in your organization. Definitely worth check out that video, it's worth a look. Okay folks, so quite a quick one for a monthly roundup. But like I said, Microsoft are a little bit quiet. I just want to do one thing. This is a personal thing here. I want you to check out this t-shirt. Okay, so just want to show that to you. So just want to check out that t-shirt. This is a one-off. It's the first of its kind. It's designed and created by my 16-year-old son. And this is the first prototype of this t-shirt. If you like it, it's his original design. He drew it and he got it all sorted out. If you're interested, then look at the notes and look at the notes, and then you can buy it. I don't normally do anything sponsored, but as it's my son, I kind of feel I've got to, and I genuinely like the t-shirt. Anyway, back to this, folks. How can you keep up with Microsoft Teams and 365? Now, if you want your updates as the month goes on, remember I do a weekly update across the whole of 365 and Teams, but you can check me out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Look for the podcast, the blog and the newsletter. If you want any of that, just do a search for at Super Simple 365 and you'll be able to go and find it. Final request, a bit needy to do it this week, aren't I? Final request, folks, is if you're watching this on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe and turn on the bell so you get notified. It makes such a difference to actually sharing it and getting the message out there. But for now, folks, we're done, and I hope to see you next month.